Sainers, welcome back to the Saints TV YouTube channel. Welcome to the Round 12 match preview. We're taking on Melbourne in Alice Springs on Sunday, 3:20 bounce. This would be so St Kilda to win this game. Absolutely so St Kilda. But it also would be very St Kilda to go there and get absolutely dominated. And that's where my head's at right now, to be honest. I really am not too sure what to expect from this game. I think looking at the two teams, Melbourne started the season slow. We started it fast. We've slowed down in the last 7 weeks. They've really gotten up ahead of steam, and I think they've won 5 of their last 6 and could be 6 of 7. So their form line coming into this, especially off the back of who they've beaten, the grand finalists in consecutive weeks, is really strong. And of course, I think they may retain Jack Viney, so they're getting him back to strengthen that midfield. And we all know that midfield is so strong already, particularly the last 3 weeks. They've got Gawn in fine form as always, so Rowan Marshall's going to have a huge battle on his hands with his sort of mixed form. And then you've got Clary, who's just getting back to his best in a way. And obviously Prochaka, who always seems to rise for us. I remember, I think it was in Alice Springs back in 2021, he kicked 4, and he was basically the difference in a very close game back then, or 2020 even. I can't remember if it was one or the other, but it's going to be a test. On paper, they've got the midfield covered. Either end, I mean, their forward line is similar to ours, where they don't really have that designated tall. Petty kind of does the work there, but it's no different to really Sharman or Owens kind of doing a pinch hit for us forward of centre. And Cozzy Pickett kicked 5 goals 5 or something on the weekend, 5 goals 4. He's a lively player and one that can float into the midfield and then go forward and be just as damaging. So I think that's a tough gig for Jimmy Webster forward of centre. And then in the guts, I don't know who can really go with him that has the speed. That's the big worry. So whether we go Windy and just, again, give him another tagging role, I kind of hate doing it. But if we don't do that, who goes to Cozzy? You know, you can't put a Steele. You can't put, I don't know who else, Hunter Clark, Zach Jones, maybe Zach Jones. But even then, I kind of worry because Zach Jones can really focus on ball and not his man. So we need someone that can focus on both. And Winhager's probably the best fit in terms of the outs and the ins. The final teams will come out at 5 p.m, but the ins for us is Dan Butler, which I think is important. No Collard. I think Jack Higgins needs that support. And if we're any chance of winning this game, our forward half pressure is going to need to be on. And obviously that's probably his bread and butter. First is pressure, second is goals. Whereas Higgins is goals, then pressure. Jack Carroll, for potential debut, I think he's long overdue. He's been doing a very good job at VFL level, and he can help potentially strengthen our midfield rotation and our wing rotation. He gets a lot of the ball. He's a clean user on his left peg. Worth giving him a shot. Why not? Angus Hasty is another one. Bit of rebound. Maybe that means Sinks and Naz can go through the guts a little bit more, and Hasty and Travalia can kind of float at half back. Travalia was good last week, kept his spot as he deserved. He could be one that can get that gig off half back and help drive some rebound and get enough ball and kind of continue to tick along in his career. And Max Heath, for a potential debut. Jack Carroll is a St Kilda debut. Obviously, he played at Carlton, but just wanted to clarify there. And Max Heath, an AFL debut potentially. And he's been named a few times in the extended bench. And the fact that the club, again, haven't done an announcement of him debuting, and knowing me, I'll upload this video and it'll happen at that point, and you guys will say I'm wrong. But it's Friday. Usually we do that on a Thursday. I think maybe he flies up as an emergency. I think it would be handy to debut him, and I'd certainly be all for it. I think having him in the goal square and maybe a rotation with Rowe could be good. That was the issue last week, was we just didn't have a tall target to go to, and it all pretty much cost us the game. Apart from our goal kicking, it was having no targets, and that's been the tail of the tape all year. Form-wise, we know Melbourne are definitely improved. I think Melbourne have also beaten us every time since 2019, and we did have a streak where we won 14 in a row, I think between 2007 and 2015 or something like that, something silly, and now it's kind of floating the other way around. They've definitely won the last 5 or 6 that I can remember. Definitely the last 4. Their ladder position is 11 with 5 wins, 6 losses. Ours is 14 with 4 and 7. And they've been competitive. They did lose to Hawthorn, and that's their only loss in the last 5. And they were good for 3 quarters in that game. Hawks kind of took them away late. But apart from that, they've beaten Richmond, they've beaten the Eagles, they've beaten the Lions, and they've beaten the Swans. We've lost to the Suns, the Eagles, Carlton, and Brisbane. And our obviously only win in that period was that big surprise win against Fremantle on Friday night. So what do we need to do? Their star player is still Max Gawn. He's the number 1 rated player out of both teams. Petrarca's climbing, Clayton Oliver. Trent Rivers is another one. As I mentioned, Cozzy. Harvey Langford, he's a quiet achiever at the moment. It's his first year and he's been really impressive. And he's getting better every week. And he's one that we can't take for granted because I can see him getting off the chain. Jake Bowie as well at halfback is a really strong ball user, getting back to his sort of premiership year post form. And then Jake Lever, we just can't kick it down his throat because we have nightmares of doing that over the last 6 years. And for us, it's just about probably not kicking it down the line where Max Gawn is sitting. It's well documented that Melbourne have him sit behind the ball when the other team is in transition, and it's a very effective ploy because he just intercepts everything. And to have him and Lever and these guys floating around there makes it really difficult for teams to get past. We don't have the luxury of having a tall that can compete in that area unless Rowe goes forward and makes Gawn accountable. We haven't seen that side of Rowe too much this season, so I'm not going to hold my breath on that now. But that just means it just makes it even more important that out of half back, we need to be hitting those short kicks and overlapping with quick hands and running in waves and playing the way we played in the first 5 weeks. We didn't go down the line often. We played our percentages. We played a short kicking game. And then when there was space, we were able to occupy that space, take the game on, and then get it inside 50 quick. So somehow we need to bypass that wing position where Max Gawn will be assuming we're going to kick. And if their pressure's good, Melbourne's, we'll panic and we'll kick it down the line. So we need to be able to either nullify their pressure with our own pressure and continue to turn the ball over. And maybe then just at that point, it's just who, nails those kicks more. But if their pressure's on and we panic and do what we've been doing the last month, they're going to feast on it because Max Gawn and Lever and these guys will be sitting behind the ball and cleaning it up. They'll be giving it to Salem, to Bowie, and they'll be rebounding very quickly. And with their forward line, it's unpredictable, but they do have some X factor down there that we've mentioned already that can cause some problems. But for us, Jack Higgins, quiet one last week. He needs to bounce back. Sharman Owens need to have a huge one. And if Max Heath plays, just be accountable in the goal square. Bring it to ground. Compete. Don't get beaten is pretty much the number one thing. And hope that the players around you can do the job on ground level. So midfield, Steele, Jones, Clark, these guys, you need to be switched on. We can't have it walked out. Gawn has monstered Marshall the last few times, particularly I think last year was one of the biggest, smashings I've seen Rowe really receive. And last week wasn't too different. Witts, was the much better ruckman. So we really do need Rowe to lift in this one. If he doesn't, Gawn's going to feast on it around the ground and at the centre bounce. And that Petrarca and Clary and Viney are going to enjoy playing attacking football because they know we're not much of a threat going the other way. So we need to give them something to worry about. We need to take away some of their strengths, which is their clearance work and obviously their intercept marking power. Both things we are not very good at, but where we can probably break even or get them is if we can get the ball on the outside and hit our targets. Last week, we had opportunities to hurt the Suns. We got them on the outside, but it was execution, primarily execution and not game plan, not structure, that really was the reason why we lost that game. So if we can maintain that structure, maintain the effort that we showed for maybe 2.5 quarters of that game, the back end of that game, kick straight, tackle, chase, spread, and please minimize the clangers. Our turnover rate is so high and teams, we know AFL football is played on turnover. Whoever scores more from turnover wins the game. It's not just clearance, it's turnover. And Melbourne have been very good at that stat the last 5 weeks. So if we turn it over, it's a chance they're going to hurt us. But if we can play some clean football, patient football, and hit our targets, take our chances, we'll give ourselves a chance. So on that note, Tainers, let me know how you're feeling in the comments. I'll be doing a watch along on Sunday, so I'll just be tuning into the game, live streaming on YouTube. So If you get sick of watching the Fox Footy telecast and you want some Saints bias in the commentary, join me on Sunday, I think 3:10 p.m. I'll kick it off. Yeah, it should be fun. First watch along in a number of years. So hopefully it's not a painful one. I don't want to be sitting here 5-10 minutes into the game thinking, shit, what am I doing? But it's a game we can win. It's absolutely a game we can win. Melbourne are just in red hot form. Form is temporary. Let's see if we can take advantage of that and get a much needed win before the bye. If we can go to the bye at what are we, 5-7? There's something to play with. If we go into the bye at 4-8, I don't know. More questions will be asked. So put in the comments. Let me know how you're feeling, Sainers. Thank you very much. Take care. And as always, go you mighty Sainers. See you guys.